Hi there. I'm Carrie Hewerdine, and I am so honored to be able to be sharing this presentation with you today. I've been a member of NCRA since 1978, when I obtained my RPR, which meant nothing in California at the time, except that I couldn't pass the qualifiers to take the California state test. And once I passed the RPR, then I was qualified. And of course, the minute I passed the RPR, then I started passing the qualifiers, another whole video for somebody who's interested. But I sit back today, even now, and I think to myself, wow, 1974, I started court reporting school, and who knew what a crazy journey I was embarking on. We never do. Sometimes I wonder if I'd known, would I have done it? It's an incredible journey of not just learning steno and obtaining a career, a profession, but what I've realized, it's a most deep and empowering journey of self-discovery. It was all about, I don't know, what was happening to me early on, and it's taken me a long time to realize that in those moments of thinking about what's happening to me, that actually makes me a victim. I've got a tip for all of you guys who have ever felt like that. You know, the test is happening to me. It was a bad test. It was dictated poorly. It was a horrible job. I hated those attorneys, and they were mean and they were fast, and they clipped the witness off, and the witness interrupted the questions, and it was all happening to me. And if you can change one thing in your life from this moment on, I'm going to suggest that at least once a day, every day for the rest of your life, you say the words, whether you believe them now or not. Everything is always happening for me. And that sounds crazy, except think about your life 6 months from now, a year from now, 40 years from now. If everything today, even if it seems like a curse, is actually a blessing that is going to take you to the most amazing place, then even the things we don't understand in the moment are actually happening for us. So I wanted to apologize. I had this most amazing PowerPoint written out, and then my whole system crashed. And of course, I didn't have it backed up because, well, who would? It's on my computer. I have my work, my court reporting work backed up, but no, not that. It's okay. We're going to do what court reporters do. We're going to solve problems, and I can do this. Because court reporters are a different kind of amazing. We don't just, well, kind of do anything. We do everything 100%, or we don't. And that's kind of the thing that makes us different. So aside from my court reporting journey, which I think I have all my little cards all over the place here. Yeah, I've done, I went ahead and just did flashcards for this morning. So 1978 was when I first became certified with NCRA, but that would not entitle me to work in the state of California until I finally passed the California test, which would be July of 1979. Since then, I have received, tested for and achieved my RMR and my RDR. I'm currently certified and in good standing in 6 states, which used to include Arizona, but I let it lapse because, well, I just never went to Arizona that much. But California, Nevada, New Mexico, oh my gosh, Oregon, Washington, and Texas. Texas was the last one that I passed this year. And that is after 45 years of reporting. It's not just that I love taking tests and want certifications, but I used to love to travel, and I wanted options open to me. And actually, the Texas test was because of the California laws that say that the location of the witness is the location of the deposition. And if I showed up and our witness was in Midland, Texas, I couldn't take that job. And so anyway, a lot of moving parts there, but I want to let you guys know a little bit about who I am. So as I'm sharing this stuff with you, it'll at least have some concrete kind of background for you. I've done a little bit of everything in the last 45 years. I've done some CART, 2 semesters actually at a college, and it was an amazing experience. I've done some closed captioning, and then realized I really prefer transcripts. I've done court long enough to know that court really ain't my thing, but that doesn't mean it's not yours. And I've really come to realize that my place, my happiness in this profession is in freelancing. And I still do some court. I do arbitrations and hearings, but I absolutely love being able to do depositions. It's just that's who and what I am. So I'm going to give you a couple of things. We're going to go all over the place here, but I'm going to give you a couple of things, and I'm going to start off with the first one being a little exercise that I know physiologically works to take your brain down to a place of relaxed concentration and focus. It's something that I do before jobs, and I often, when I'm working with students, tell them, please do this on a regular basis, like every day before you sit down to practice, or especially before you're going to take a test. And when you first feel this, you're going to wonder, well, how is this supposed to help me go faster, better, more focused? Because it feels like I'm relaxing. That's what it feels like. There are things we can do to tweak that a little bit, and we'll get into more of those in a bit. But for right now, I want you to just feel what it feels like to keep your head level with the horizon. And then with your eyes, I want you to roll your eyeballs up to the ceiling, as high up, as far up as you possibly can. And you'll feel this incredible resistance as you're almost feeling like you're looking behind your own eyebrows. And as you're doing that, just breathe in and then breathe out. Keep your eyeballs looking up. Do it one more time. Breathe in, feel the resistance, feel that resistance in your eyeballs, and then breathe out. And one final time, as your eyeballs are looking up to the ceiling, I want you to keep looking toward the ceiling as when you breathe in, and then now exhale and close your eyelids all the way down over your eyes that are still looking up to the ceiling. And it's going to feel a physiological feeling in your body of relaxation, but in a way that you really haven't felt before. But also, will you notice that your mind, the chatter that's sometimes there, is not right now in this moment? And it's not just because I'm talking and your brain is otherwise focused, but there's something that happens when you physically roll your eyes up to the ceiling, breathe in and out 3 times rhythmically in a relaxed, slow method, and then let go. That just shuts those 2 components of your brain off and allows you to relax. Just close your eyes down, all the way down. And you can, if you're listening from Zoom, just keep them there for the remainder of the presentation, because we don't have a presentation. We have no PowerPoint. You're going to be looking at me. So you might as well be looking at the inside of your eyelids, which actually psychologically is going to help you go within and make some neurological changes within you as I'm talking. So I'm going to keep my little card here because we're going to do that exercise again, and I'll tell you longer. But before a test, before a job, while I'm sitting in the car, just to bring myself down to that place of relaxed, focused concentration, stopping the chatter in my mind. For those of you who may or may not have gotten a copy of the course description, I'm going to go through that really, really fast. And then I'm going to explain to you what we're actually going to do today. Because, well, let me go back to not just my court reporting, who am I, but what brings me here to share this information with you guys today. Because it's kind of it's an interesting journey, but it's a journey that I'm sure some of you, a lot of you, probably will identify with when I tell you that when I was in school, I was constantly wondering, what the hell is wrong with me? Why can't I focus and concentrate like they all seem to be able to do? Even out in the field reporting, it was like I never heard another reporter say, "Oh my gosh, that was so hard. It just got away from me. I dropped." And no, it was like, "Oh, yeah, they must be perfect because nobody ever tells me the flaws." And I was true to myself in that I knew I was terrified working as a new reporter. What they I would later learn was imposter syndrome would really take me over in that first year. And it was through sheer effort, sheer resilience, sheer showing up every day and just repeating it and telling myself, this is what I'm meant to do. And I'm not going to quit. I'm going to get better. If I keep doing anything toward my goal, I'm going to get better. I had no idea that in that moment I was actually tapped into something that 40 years later I would learn is a natural neuroscience thing, and why it worked. I wanted to know, why does my brain do the things that it does? So in 2017, for a lot of different kind of personal reasons, um, and because court reporters are a different kind of amazing, we don't just kind of do anything, we do it 100% or we don't. So in 2017, I started studying, accidentally, neuroscience. And I was introduced to a woman who was a life coach. And up until that moment, I thought, life coach, who the hell needs I mean, I'm alive. Why do I need a life coach? She was the first person who asked me some pointed questions and really started opening a door and helping me turn a corner to see that life was not the way that my brain had been telling me for, 59 some odd years. Imagine that. So working with her, she said some magic words to me, and I will share them with you. At one point, as I was describing my background and having gone through court reporting and having failed relationships and frustrating situations in life and the not achieving everything I wanted to achieve, thinking that I deserved it, but why couldn't I have it if other people could? She said, Carrie, it's not you, it's your programming. And I thought, what the hell is programming? And then she went on to explain to me that the way I think about things, the way I interpret their meaning in my life has to do with the first 7 to 9 years of my life and the environment that I was cooked in during those years. That was what I learned about what life meant and what it was all about. But just the words, it's not you. It's not you. You didn't do this to you. You didn't sit down at the age of 3, 4, 5 years old and say to yourself, how can I mess myself up so bad that no matter how hard I try, I will never get completely the results that I know I deserve, that I see other people having. You didn't do that to yourself. Your environment did that to you. But your job now that you know that is that you have a responsibility to decide, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to remain being a victim in your own life, or are you going to start changing, becoming aware of how you think and changing what that means for you? So from her teachings, I then went on and studied neurolinguistic programming, which was developed in the 60s and was a way to understand that a lot of, just simply put, it's way deeper than this, but neurolinguistic means your neurology and your linguistics. It's how language and your neurology play together. It's, what you say on a daily basis is what your brain believes about you. And what are the messages that you're giving to yourself and therefore to the world? And then from that, I studied hypnosis, hypnotherapy. I was still wanting to know, why do we think the way we do? And if we got programmed that way, is there a way to unprogram? And there is. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't want to be hypnotized, which is, now that I realize the depth of it, is kind of funny, because what we really all want is to be unhypnotized from the stuff we were hypnotized with at those early ages to believe and automatically think the way we think, because if it's not getting us our results, then wow, who wants to hang on to that? So long story short, in the last few years, I have become, and with the International Association of Counselors and Therapists, I've become a board certified clinical hypnotherapist and an international trainer. I'm also certified through the International Medical and Dental Hypnosis Association, working with people pre-surgery, post-surgery, dental without anesthetic, and end-of-life assistance with people who are on hospice and wanting to finally let go of the things that have been making life challenging and more difficult and taking away an element of peace for them. So it's been amazingly rewarding. In also I am an International Hypnosis Association lifetime member, but I've been putting together and will hopefully release in January of 2025 a hypnosis certification course specifically developed and designed for court reporters and court reporting students to understand why our brains do what they do, how to overcome that in the fastest way possible, because it shouldn't take years. It should take minutes. It should take, for some people, repetition daily, but to be able to pull yourself out of even chronic depression. I work daily with people who are, now mind you, I'm still a full-time reporter because I love it, but I have hypnosis and hypnotherapy clients that we work on stuff on the evenings and weekends, and every once in a while I'll set up a group of people who have the same issues, and that is powerful. So keep that in mind. If I'll have at the end of this presentation an email, you can get a hold of me and ask to be put on the wait list for the hypnosis course, which will, it's usually, nobody gasped for air, but the certification that I'm offering is usually somewhere between $1,700 and $2,500 for a regular 220-hour course. It's a lot of information, but I'm going to make it as pleasant and as interesting as possible for court reporters, doubling up on the fact that you need to listen to dictation anyway. And when you're in that mode of dictation, in that mode of hearing the words coming in, you're in hypnosis, whether you know it or not. So I can get the information downloaded to you easily, effortlessly, comfortably, and pleasantly for a whole lot less than that amount of time. And I'm offering the course for about 1/10 of its cost on the open market to people who aren't court reporters, because frankly, I think it's going to be a whole lot easier course for me, because I know you guys, we are all of the same stuff. So real quickly about the course description for our next hour here. And I'm looking at my time as carefully as I can. I'm going to go ahead and just read this as fast as I can, because if you're reporting on your machine, you're going to want some practice. And if not, I'm just going to go as fast as I can and get through it. But also I want to apologize, because when I was asked to prepare a syllabus for an offering for this course, I had a 10-minute break during a daily, and I typed as fast as I could, trying to think of everything I could that would satisfy the elements of the NCRA. And no, I did not proofread it. And no, I did not realize that that was going to be the actual words that were going to be used for what you have. And so, yeah, there's proofreading errors in there, because one thing very powerfully that I've become aware of is my weaknesses, my strengths, but yeah, proofreading is not one of my strengths. I mean, I can look at somebody else's stuff. Maybe this is true for you too. I could look at somebody's transcript upside down on a desk across from me and pick out an error immediately. My own stuff looks good to me. Let's let it go. But I can't do that because I can't trust my own proofreading. So I pay people to do that, people who that's what they love to do. And it's certainly not what I love. So from the papers that you may have received, I want to ask some simple questions that we all and our families ask. You know, why is school so hard? Why is reporting so challenging? And I'm going to focus this. It was written originally for students, but I'm going to focus it on working reporters. And so students, you'll be able to mentally adapt to what I'm saying, to realize that a lot of that overlays what you're doing also. But if it doesn't, and you have other questions, please get a hold of me and I'll give you a way to do that at the end. We want to know, is there a way to lighten up the pressure, the stress, the potential burnout that is felt by so many students and especially even working reporters? The very nature of verbatim stenographic reporting is more than most normal people can understand. It's a high pressure, fast-paced environment, high-stakes setting, demanding accuracy, speed, and attention. Yeah, we all know that, Carrie. It's the kind of relentless pressure that, if not addressed, will deplete your best efforts, drain your vital life source, and even cause you to question the very profession that you love and were called to. So I'm going to start by addressing the more obvious elephants in the room, and then we can dig a little deeper into the shadows of the elephants, because we can only fix the things that we can see. So let's find out what's really going on so that the efforts we make actually make a difference in our lives. It is possible to find work-life balance and still be productive. But a work-life balance must consider not just the hours in the day, but the tolls that split takes on our bodies, our minds, and our souls as we strive for protection, perfection, and validation. I think that was a little Freudian slip there with protection, because that's really what we're looking for above all, but we don't even realize it on a conscious level. So understanding is the first step to change the dynamics of what stress can and will do in our lives. It's all about the things we know that we know, and especially the things that we think we have under control. So I've got a quick list: physical demands, mental fatigue, tight deadlines, accuracy expectations, difficult speakers, technical difficulties, work balance, life again, competition. We must unveil some of these hidden aspects that deplete our energies and efforts. And these are the shadows of the elephants in the room. And that is things like imposter syndrome, deriving sense of self and worth from others, limiting beliefs, and working with who you are. Academic pressure for those of you in school, skill acquisition, time management, financial concerns, fear of failure, physical demands. Wow, it's like, why do we pick this profession? We all know why we picked this profession. It was a matter of this feeling of doing something incredible that nobody else could possibly even understand, much less do. And if I can accomplish this, then I'm okay. I'm valuable. I'm worthy. This is a place of realizing on such a deep level who you actually are. I want to think of this little offering for the hour more in terms of being a self-guided mental emotional health, and focus on embracing personal power, because those are the things that we feel like, I think, we lose when we're out reporting. When I first was going through my hypnosis school, my first teacher told me something that I will never forget. And she said, there's only 3 things wrong with anybody. And I thought, well, you have not worked with me. And then she went through her list of, you think you're not enough of something. Maybe you're not, for us, fast enough, smart enough, skilled enough, gifted enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. You're not wise enough. You're something that's lacking. There's something about you that you don't think you're enough. And I thought, okay, I got that one. 2, you think you're different. So you don't want to expose who you are to other people for fear of rejection and judgment. So you isolate yourself a little bit. You stay separate. Got that one too. Number 3, there's something or some things in life that are available to other people, but they are just not available to you. Wow. all three. What do I do if I've got all three of them? And she said, we all have all three of them to some degree or another. They fluctuate and they flux in and out depending on circumstances and who we're dealing with and what we're dealing with. But it is kind of who and what we are. And when you're a working reporter out in the field, if you can start looking at the attorneys around you in a way that is different than them thinking you are not good enough or you are not fast enough, or they're going to talk over each other and you're not going to have the strength, the stamina, the ability, or the gumption and the guts to interrupt them. To watch attorneys, because when they talk really fast, it's usually because they're really nervous. And that's nothing to do with you. And some of them are so nervous perpetually that they always talk fast. They'll anticipate an answer coming at them and stop and just bullet through the question, not even realizing what they're doing. I've sat, I can't tell you how many times, and you probably have too, wondering, have you ever actually seen yourself in writing? Do you know what it looks like when you've got a chopped up transcript with bits and pieces of questions and answers? And they don't, for the most part, especially the newer attorneys that are very, very nervous. And I'm going to share a story with you that I think is really, really important. And before I do that, I'm going to ask you again to just take a deep breath and let it go. Why would I do that? Because when we take a deep breath in, we are in a moment of literally absorbing what's around us or what we want to be taken in. And then as we exhale, because there's only so much room within us, we're exhaling the old that is useless. It's not helping us anymore because we've just brought in a new thought, a new idea. And I want you to have a clean palette with which to accept this next story, because I was in a deposition once in Sacramento, and I was in the first half an hour of a deposition where it was a female attorney, and she was new and really nervous. I mean, I could see her foot under the table, just fluttering. And she was unreportable. She was going so fast, and I kept trying to gently, but repeatedly interrupt her and tell her she needed to slow down. She needed to slow down. She needed to take a breath. Oxygen is our friend. And all the smiles in the world was not doing it. We finally took a break, and she's standing there having a cup of coffee, and I'm thinking, oh, baby, you need to be cut off from the coffee. But instead, I shared a story with her because I had just come back from a training, a conference in San Diego, and working with a world-renowned hypnotherapist who his clientele are all the big grossing attorneys in Los Angeles. I mean, the big 7-digit money makers in Los Angeles. And he was sharing with us how he helps them to do discovery, how he helps them understand what witnesses are thinking, and how he helps them get the answers from the witnesses in a way that you would not imagine, because it's not by showering the witness with bulleted questions. So I said to her, because this is what he called it, I said, you know, it's the weirdest thing. Last weekend, I was in San Diego at this hypnosis training convention thing. I didn't tell her what I'm into, so who knows why I was there. I said, and the guy who's there works with these big firms in Los Angeles, you know, that are getting all the big money. And he's telling us about this thing called conversational hypnosis. Have you ever heard of that? I'm asking her because I hadn't. And then he proceeded to tell us how when you're working with, when an attorney is working with a witness, how there's a way they can ask questions and it will diffuse the fear of the witness and put them in a place of feeling like that attorney and the witness are like, oh, this person's hearing me. And so it went something like this. It was like echoing, speaking in a way that was kind of slow and methodical, which I guess puts them into like a hypnotic state. And it's like a relaxed thing instead of like talking to them really fast because they won't even know what you're saying and they're going to be sure that they're being attacked. So then they're going to be on the defensive. But instead, you're slow and gradual. And as they're answering the first couple of innocent questions, oh, and as you were driving down the road, what color was the tractor that was blocking the lane in front of you? Green. Oh, okay. Okay. So it was a green tractor that was in front of you. Yes. Okay. And you start confirming what the witness is saying. Ridiculous. You guys have all heard attorneys do this. And I always wondered, why are they doing this? This is why they're doing this. It's diffusing the fear of the witness and giving the witness the feeling that somebody's hearing me, somebody's listening to me, somebody's hearing my words so well that they could reflect them back to me. This is amazing. And so they start feeling comfortable with the testimony and relaxing into just talking freely. I've seen this, I personally have seen this so effectively that I've seen attorneys call for a break and take their client out in the halter, and you can hear them with their voices raised. That is not your friend. That attorney is not your friend. Anyway, I said, just crack. So I'm talking back to this female attorney, and I said, it was just amazing how I didn't know that was a thing. And it just always kind of boggles my mind why some attorneys are really fast and some attorneys are like, just kind of really methodical. Like, and I guess that's what they're doing. Conversational hypnosis. Who knew that was a thing? And she just sat there with her coffee, kind of, I could tell she was interested. And wow, and didn't really say a word. Then we went back into the deposition. And I don't know that she consciously realized what she was doing because the first couple of questions came back out. Well, thank you. We're here back after a break and the things that we do, we go back on the record. And then it was almost like she took a deep breath and she asked the witness a very slow, deliberate question for the first time. And he answered her and she echoed it back. And I thought, well, this is freaking amazing. And then I just kind of sat back like I was watching something unfold, which I was. And for the next 4 hours until that deposition was concluded, she never broke a sweat again. And she got exactly what she wanted. And she didn't look over and thank me because she didn't know where that came from. Something inside her changed. The way she was looking at what she was doing changed. And so I suggest to you guys, if you come across that situation and you have a friendly opportunity to share a story with an attorney, you just had an hour with a board certified clinical hypnotherapist who told you about how there's this thing called conversational hypnosis. And with it, high winning attorneys in Los Angeles, 7-figure guys, are getting the information they want from witnesses by really asking the questions in a totally different way than you would expect would get you the answers. It just kind of blew my mind. I figure even if it's just one attorney at a time out there in the field, it's going to change the world. So I always come up with these ponderings, like, why is it that we picked this profession that we did? Why? Somehow, psychologically, we were looking for something we could do that was so hard, and that if we were able to do it, it would somehow take on a meaning of its own. It would show how valuable we are, how smart we actually really are, how we're able to do something nobody else can do. And I look at that as the seeking of perfection, which we can't get. We're looking to be perfect, but we can't be, but we're going to try to be. But what if there is no way to be perfect? Because there is no perfect. And yet we strive for it. Even with a perfect transcript, we come out of it saying, and I've seen this because we've had national speed champions with perfect tests. But if the speed had been faster, it wouldn't have been a perfect test, because there will be a speed at which, thank you, Mark Kislingberry, there is no perfect transcript. So we're seeking that perfection, but also we've chosen a profession within which we need to be invisible, perfect and invisible, perfect and yet silent. For a lot of people, there are so many reasons for this, but those two things that first of all, your brain can't hold two conflicting thoughts. And so a lot of our frustration as reporters is that feeling of, I have to be perfect, but I can't. I have to be, but I won't. I have to be, but no matter how hard I try, I don't. And those are two conflicting thoughts. And the only way we can make progress with, because those are the ruminating thoughts that will make you crazy. You know, after a deposition, I should have done this, but I didn't. I should have done that, but I didn't. I should have said this. I should have stopped them. I should have interrupted them. All the things that we do or don't do that leave us with conflicting thoughts. And if you can take a moment and take a deep breath and let it out and ask yourself, what are the two conflicting thoughts there? I should have been faster, but I wasn't. I should have interrupted, but I didn't. Okay, let one of those thoughts go so that you don't have two conflicting thoughts tearing you up in a circle. And frankly, it doesn't matter which one. When I'm working with a student and they say, I have to be perfect, but I can't. I have to be, but I can't. Really? Okay, get rid of one of those thoughts. Which one do you want to get rid of? I have to be or I can't. And you'll see them just kind of go blank for a moment. That is conversational hypnosis at work, by the way. Whenever you ask anybody something and they go blank for a second, they have dropped from their conscious mind into their subconscious mind. You can basically, the door is open. If you're talented, you can drop all kinds of powerful suggestions in that moment. I have to be, but I'm not. I have to be, but I can't. Which one do you want to get rid of? I don't know. For me, the I can't part is the easiest one to get rid of. Now, I don't know how I'm gonna, but since I've given up, I can't, I guess I'm going to somehow. And that's court reporters at our very base essence. And so back to the breath is your power. From the moment you were born, that first breath in, till the moment when you cease to exist on this planet and that last breath out. It's a cycle of new information coming in and letting go of old things that don't work anymore. It's just an exchange for your entire lifetime, but not realizing sometimes the things that we take in and hang on to. And we do that, all of us, when we're in a test where we take that, you know, they're going so fast and you suck a breath in and you don't let it out until they finally slow down. It amazes me the power that our breath has, and yet how quickly it gets away from us. And so when I'm working with students mostly, I'm trying to instill in them that whatever they can come up with as a practice, something that will keep them doing the same thing. I started to say religiously, but like ritually. It will put your body, your mind, your emotions into a state of, oh, this is what we do. And then this happens. And so if you're getting ready to take a test and you do a breathing exercise, something that grounds you, it will, first of all, help stave off any anxiety that's going to come up. And I don't know about you, but as a working reporter, I have anxiety all the time. I just have to figure out ways to recognize it and to deal with it and to put it in a place where hopefully it can become an asset instead of a liability. That takes a lot of work sometimes. So when I'm working with people, I am basically, you know, people talk about, oh, I'm a coach or, oh, I'm a mentor. And those are wonderful things. I don't think of myself as either of those. I think of myself as a guide. I've been there, I've done that. I've got a wealth of great tools, and I will share with you everything I can think of that might work. Pick and choose what you want to try. Give it a try. If it works, do it again. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it. Think of it as broccoli or asparagus. Come back to it in 6 months and see if you still don't like it. But try everything and really give yourself that analytical moment of really parsing down, who am I? What am I doing? What is working and what is not working? So I'm going to share with you very quickly, if you want to write this down, this is my email address. A lot of you may or may not be in our Facebook group, which is called Magic for Court Reporters, all written out, Magic, F-O-R, Court Reporters. And that's our moniker at Facebook. It's also a moniker at in YouTube. I've got a lot of these same kind of videos over there on different topics. I try to make them, 8 to 15 minutes long. Usually I jabber for about half an hour. I try not to, but on specific topics, how to get rid of your chattery mind, how to calm down before a test, how to get into a ritual of breathing slowly, and why breathing tricks your brain into thinking that you're safe, which is the biggest fear before you go into a test. You don't know that. You're just going to take a test and God, I hope I pass it. But there's a part of you that's been in every test you've taken, and it knows that most of the tests you've taken have been bad, you have failed. The same thing when you're a working reporter, it knows there's a big chance that you're going to walk into a room with an attorney who's having a really bad day with a really crappy case, and you're going to be exposed to whatever happens in that environment. So anyway, YouTube, Facebook. Also, for those of you for the time being, I've got something over on SoundCloud, and our moniker is always Magic for Court Reporters. Now, the email that you're going to want to use to get a hold of me is stenotherapy, altogether, stenotherapy@gmail.com. If you're interested in, for the students that are listening, if you're interested in a free, what I call a strategy call, which can last anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, where you and I together analyze what's holding you back. And sometimes it's practice stuff, it's technical steno stuff. But for me, 9 times out of 10, it's thoughts and beliefs and limiting notions of what's possible for you. And that's what I like to work on. Because when I can see a student change in an instant, and start passing tests after being stuck for a year, that's the stuff that lights me up. So also, people ask me, what do I do? What did I do, not just as a court reporter, but as somebody who was living with chronic, daily, stifling depression and anxiety? And I'm talking for 30 years. And sometimes the only thing that felt comfortable, even though it felt hard, was court reporting. Now, our brains like what's familiar, not necessarily what's good, which is why we sometimes, some of us find ourselves in toxic relationships and then stay. It's not healthy and it doesn't feel good, but it feels familiar. It feels weirdly comfortable because this is the devil we know. And because we know it, we think we can keep ourselves safe. This is what's going on subconsciously. And so there are a bunch of things that I did to, I don't even want to call it heal myself, because from 2017, it was a 24/7 effort, 365 days of the year. I just decided I'm the common denominator in my life. And if something's going to change in my life, it's going to come from me, through me, by me, understanding what the F I've been doing for the last so many decades that has not gotten me the result that I wanted. And so taking that, I started implementing every tool I could. And the breath was a huge tool. First of all, it makes you stop, which we hardly ever do as court reporters. There's always another project, another emergency, another readback, another session, another 2 hours of God willing, I won't ever shut up. Always. And so the breath stops us. It gives us a moment of, and looking up at the ceiling is even more powerful, and closing your eyes down and letting yourself feel the relaxation that will flood your body, even for just a moment, to give you the control back that you want. Something I started doing, And I've got a recording that I'm happy to share with you if you want to send me an email at stenotherapy@gmail.com. It's a 7-minute morning meditation. Call it what you want. It's literally, and I got this from my first coach who said, it's not you, it's your programming. She said, you want to start the day by setting your intentions for the day so that you're on top of what you want for the day instead of the day unfolding at your whim. Because then we're never in control, but we want to feel like we're in control. And if you're setting your intentions, and it's a 7-minute quick thing, you can do it while you're still in bed, I do, to just kind of be there and float and ask yourself, these are the 3 questions also, whenever you're having a problem. Oh, hang on, I've got a question here. Just had to do with the presentation I'm supposed to give. So 7-minute meditation meant to set your intentions for the day, which basically is going to ask you to ask yourself, how do I want to keep my focus for the day? What do I want to feel going forward through the day? To put those in the forefront of your mind before you even start the day. Now, for people I work with, and I ask for a commitment and for them to listen to this meditation every single morning, if you find your feet on the ground headed into your day and you haven't done that meditation, then you stop right in your tracks and you ask yourself to name 3 things that you are grateful for, because being grateful in that moment will open you to being able to accept abundance and things that are out there that are available to you. I'm going to give you guys a couple of, honest to goodness, I've got like pages of stuff that I could share with you, and apparently I'm going to have to save that for another time. But I'm going to give you one more exercise that's going to help you to find that mental balance in your life, to help you to come across what you actually want to experience in your life. You ever had that moment where you don't even know why, but you're feeling bad about something? You've been triggered somehow. Can happen in a test. You don't even know what it was that they were talking about, but some emotion flared up in you and you don't like it. Or a situation is happening, or you're having a confrontation with somebody and you don't want one and you don't like it. There's a 1, 2, 3 process you can use, which will help you in every instance. There are 3 questions you need to ask yourself. And the first is, in this situation, in this thing in front of me, what can I control? Is there anything here in front of me that I can control? You can't control what other people are doing or thinking or saying, but you can control what you decide to do next. What it means to you is a process of you deciding, and that's under your control. The second thing to ask yourself is, conversely, what can't I control? Sometimes these 2 questions get answered at the same time because you're seeing what you can control and what you can't control. But just to identify, a lot of times we keep trying to work on things where we have no control, and that's just really a waste of mental effort. And so once you realize what you can't control, you can start letting go of it. It's frustrating, it hurts, it's sad, but you can't control it. So there's no reason to put more effort into it. The third thing you want to ask yourself is, how do I want to feel? That was a hard one for me because I grew up in an environment where my feelings really were an inconvenience to everybody else. So I had a very narrow breadth of expression of emotions when I was growing up and throughout most of my life. It's been a relearning process. But how do I want to feel? 9 times out of 10, I come away feeling like, I've gone through all of I want to feel triumphant. I want to feel right. I want to feel justified. I want to feel vindicated. I want to feel all the things I want to feel. But what I really want to feel is peace. I want to feel at peace. Okay, well, of the things you can control, What of those will help to put you in a place where you feel at peace? Can you look at the situation differently? Can you become aware of where those feelings came from? Analyze it, dig deep. But in that process, it's a evolutionary process of coming to know you better, coming to know you more. I've got so much I want to share with you guys. For working reporters, I love this. You tell, when you show up for a job, you tell and show the world who you believe you are, and people will treat you accordingly. Walk in that room like you own it, and with a smile on your face. You're the friendly guardian of the record. And that makes people feel comfortable in your confidence, and to know that you're an accessible person, just in general. To realize awareness and acceptance are powerful words in this world. To be able to be on a trajectory where you're able to let go of the must-haves and the must-be's, and to just realize that this journey that you're on is not a journey of destination, it's a journey of experience, all of it. And to come to grips with wherever you are in your journey, to accept that. You may not like where you are. I wish I had my certification. I wish I was making however much money that everybody else in this office seems to be making. But then can you now see how you have transformed from where you once were, from where you started? Can you now in this moment realize where you started and where you are? And that you have to be where you are in order to take the next step in your unfoldment to get to the next place. That in a year from now, you will not recognize who you are. Because looking back a year, you will hardly recognize who you were. And that it's all a process of unfolding before you. This thing about meditation, to me, the breath is more important than meditation, although there are simple ways to meditate, and 1 minute at a time will change how your chattering mind bothers you in jobs. Meditation in general is to teach you a practice of being able to calm your mind. Now, most of us would say, how can I calm my mind and still write at 225 plus words per minute? I don't know, it'd be like taking a sedative and then trying to write really, really fast. Not going to happen. Okay, that's probably true. But we're doing meditation to get in control of the chatter. But that's different than taking a breath and controlling your body before you take a test to tell it, I'm safe. I'm going into a test. I'm going into a job, but I'm in control of me as much as I can be. I can't control how other people react, but I know how I want to feel. I want to feel competent, confident, in control, and focused. And I'm going to use all my skills to bring that to be, because that's within my control. And then to be able to forgive yourself for not being perfect, to let go of the expectations. Wherever you are is where you are, and that's okay. So where are you going next? Being able to, whatever your practice is, have a ritual that you do every morning before a job. And that tells your brain, oh, this is what we're doing next. Because if you chop it up and it's different every day, you're just adding to the anxiety that comes with being a reporter, period. But it's like driving a car. You don't get in a different car every single day and sit there wondering, how do I put this in gear? Where's the key? Oh, it's a button. I don't know where the rearview mirrors are. Unless you've got 365 different cars and you can go into a different car every single day, you're going into the car that you're used to going into, and you know your ritual, you know your routine, you know where everything is. New car, Takes you a little while to reestablish a new routine. But once you have it, you have it. And you've driven generically so long that your subconscious, which is where all of that programming is, it knows exactly how to drive the car without you consciously, deliberately being on top of thinking about it. That's the difference between allowing something to happen and forcing it to happen. When people talk about being in the zone, it's that moment of focused concentration and allowing it to happen. It's not analyzing. When your brain starts analyzing how you're writing, and there's a brief for that, that's the stuff that will slow you down. This part of your brain, your conscious, cognitive, analytical part of your brain function, has the ability to process 126 bits of information per second. Now that sounds pretty freaking fast, except when you stop and realize that the subconscious part of you, 126 per second, the subconscious part of you can process 2 million bits of information per second. Which one of those do you want to allow to write on the machine? And to get the chatter out of the way, even if you have to talk to it before you go into a job and tell it, I'm sorry, you can't go in there with me. I have to leave you outside, leave you in the car, because frankly, I can't trust you. I can't trust that you're not going to start chattering at me, and I don't want that to happen. So please don't go too far, because I know you have supersonic hearing and you'll be able to hear everything that goes on in the proceedings. I just won't be able to hear you. There are so many different ways we can approach the chatter that goes on that defeats us when we're reporting. And if that's something you're interested in, get a hold of me. I can refer you on to a better, more in-depth video that might help you, or if you want some one-on-one guidance as to how I was able to get over a lot of that, I'm happy to share it with you. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Take another deep breath in and let it go. Anything that you do repetitively becomes a habit, becomes a programming. It's what we call in hypnosis fractionating. You're fractionating through a routine. And then what happens is people who I work with quite a bit who are listening to my hypnosis recordings, it will get to the point where I can say, take a deep breath, and they're gone. They are already down into alpha waves, sometimes headed to theta, and in a state of total relaxed, focused concentration, open to the good suggestions that they have told me is what they want. I hope you have all gotten what you needed from this short presentation. That was not at all what it was meant to be, but it is what it is. And I love what I do. I love the way the universe has unfolded to have all of the pain and torture that I went through as a student, and then as a doubting new reporter, that somehow was able to come full circle to help other people to understand that you ain't alone. And this journey is not atypical. It is, well, it's atypical for most people, but it ain't atypical for other reporters. It's just freaking amazing. I love you guys. If there's any questions, any comments, anything that I can do for you, any way that I can help guide you, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. Stenotherapy@gmail.com. Thank you.